And so, to round 4 of the UIM World Class 1 Offshore Powerboat Racing Series in 1992, and to a totally new venue, the island of Malta. Valletta was built as a totally new city by the crusading Knights of St. John, back in 1565, after a great siege, when they drove the Turks from these shores. Over 400 years later, and the grand harbour here in Valletta sees a very different kind of crusade. While the peoples of Malta have seen great battles in the past, they will never have seen anything like the fight that will take place here this weekend for the 4th round of the Class 1 World Championship. There are 27 boats entered here. 26 of them are catamarans. The one monohull is run by Ove Ugland from Norway, one of only 2 boats to have finished every race so far this year. Ugland's boat is powered by 3 7.8-litre Seatec diesels, completely different to Steve Curtis, whose boat is powered by 2 8.171-litre petrol-driven Lamborghini engines. Aleardo Dall'Olio, sitting on the left there, is running with J.G. Brock in Fassa Team Daiwa number 38, and his boat is powered by KSW engines, 2 of them coming in at 8.148 litres each. But this boat, SDA, has 4 Motori Moderni Aloni engines and has yet to prove itself successful on the international racing scene. In contrast to Domenico Achilli and Achilli Motors, who despite his 6th position in the World Championships at the moment promises much greater things as his reliability improves. But Steve Curtis leads the championship, 48 points ahead of Finscrew with 36. Finscrew driven by Mattila and throttled by Walter Ragazzi. So a Briton in 1st place, a Finn in 2nd place, an Italian in 3rd. Antonio Giuffredi in Paul Picot with that spectacularly fast run at the last round of the championship. These are the size of propellers that are put on the back of these massive boats. The marker buoys being rolled into the water, ready for the pole position run. And as the boats are craned in for testing, we talk to Eduardo Poli, the driver's representative here this weekend with the Class 1 World Series. This, in Malta, is a totally new event. But how does it fit in with the scheme of the championship this year?
I think we are having a great championship. I think that these new towns, which have not been maybe spoiled like some old towns, which think they have some kind of a divine right to hold an offshore race, you know, these new places are giving us, you know, a fantastic support. I mean, you know, the whole town is behind, you know, the mayor, the city. I mean, in Malta, they really changed the law to let us run, you know, the pole position in the harbor. I mean, this shows you how much, you know, really the town is behind the whole thing. And this is really the places we want to come, places where people want us to come and race, not places where people think they're doing us a favor to let us race.
With this in mind, all the boats are paraded through the streets of Valletta, a concept that has become extremely popular and one that is used at race sites like Guernsey. The top 27 Class 1 offshore powerboats in the world paraded in one long convoy through the narrow twisting streets of Valletta. And in a strangely different way, as spectacular off the water as they are on in their racing environment. As nighttime fell, the people of Malta and the holidaymakers alike could look forward to a spectacular battle, for pole position would be run on the Saturday morning. The driver's briefing absolutely essential here for a new event, and now out for pole position. A speed trial run over a 1 kilometre fixed distance. And this time, with the law being changed especially here in Malta, the teams are being allowed to run their pole position inside Valletta Harbour. Defending world champion Angelo Spelter is not having such a good season. The new full-valve Isotta engines not giving him the performance that he needs to be highly competitive. Ottaviani, Leonetti and Troyer here preparing to go out for their pole position run. But for Richard Carr, had he seen things improving so far this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think for the first year of this sort of series, I think it's actually getting better race by race. If you compare the organisation of this race to the very first race of the season, I mean, you know, they're chalk and cheese. So, yeah, I think it's getting more professional. You've seen that there's a lot of corporate branding here. So, yeah, it's good news.
And Malta as a venue itself lends itself wonderfully, the Grand Harbour.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been to Malta before, And yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's almost like it was made for powerboat racing, so I hope that they come back here.
While Ove Ugman's team in Fiat Uno warm up those twin turbocharged diesel engines, we talk to Domenico Achilli, fueling up his boat alongside.
Yeah, Alberto Barambrini is good, in any case, good pilot. He's really a friend of mine. Last year I raced with Paterniani. Even Paterniani is good, but in any case I prefer Alberto. With Alberto I race 5 years, and I'm thinking that we are in the condition to do much better altogether, you know, because he knows me very well, I know him, and I think it's very important to have a good relation with the pilots and throttlemen to get the best performance.
With so many motorsport opportunities on offer, why had the organisers chosen offshore?
We do not have a Grand Prix racetrack on the island, but we have a lot of sea. So we had a natural racetrack, and also as a sort of activity we want to attract to Malta. Malta is a crossroads of civilization. It has been very much a historical and cultural place, and we would like to use events such as these to give a good image of Malta, to attract high-quality tourists, and also to bring people of business and international finance in touch with an island that has a lot to offer.
And so to pole position, Leonardo Poli sliding down into the driver's seat there, Steve Curtis just behind the throttle man, Poli in front with the responsibility of driving the boat, navigation, all important in this sport. For while all the boats are using GPS, the automatic satellite navigational system, one simple failure in the middle of the race and a lack of preparation on the charts by the navigator can mean the difference between winning and losing. Qualifying and pole position setting put in the spectacular backdrop of the Grand Harbour here in Valletta as Dalla Carbonari, with the nose trimmed dangerously high, looking for additional speed, goes out for the pole position run. British driver Richard Carr in Techni Lamborghini has been hoping to qualify well. He's running the same boat and engines as the former world champion Steve Curtis. The setting for this run is quite spectacular. Eduardo Poli watching with Steve Curtis as the new threat to the World Championship trail goes out to do their pole position run. Ragazzi and Mattila in the lightning-powered skater hull, hot on the heels literally of this boat. Championship leader Steve Curtis and his driver Leonardo Poli in Rainbow Bears number 201. Domenico Achilli coming up now for his pole position run, and superb speed, giving him an average time of 23.45 seconds over 1 kilometre. That's an average speed of 191 kilometres per hour or 119 miles per hour. Tremendous speed. But pole position honours went to this boat that nearly ended in disaster. Paul Picot having a fantastic run into Valletta Harbour, clocking up an average speed of 130.12 miles per hour. 11 miles per hour faster than Achilli Motors. Paul Picot with an average speed then of 209 kilometres per hour. So qualifying here in Malta giving us an indication of the kind of fight that we can expect as the championship hots up. Paul Picot bringing an unlikely challenge halfway through the season with those tremendously powerful C-Tech diesel engines. Is Malta good for Capoferri in 4th place?
Yes, up to now there is nothing to complain about. Everything works, we have a nice paddock, all the cranes and the services are there. We have just done the pole position show and everything was fine. So I would say it's a good job.
Sunday morning, and the drivers leave the race briefing. Down on the quayside, their teams are preparing the boats and craning them in, ready for the start of this first ever offshore Grand Prix here in Malta. This is number 44 past lunch, the boat that was driven last year by Marco Capoferri. It's a Cunningham hull built in Great Britain, now run by his son. The drivers and the throttle men taking over responsibilities for these massive boats now. They've been looked after by a huge team of mechanics and engineers for the last few days, fine-tuning them ready for the start of the race. The French team of Villanova and Imoulo in a rather elderly Cougar catamaran with two Lamborghinis powering it, ready for their race, Mr. Rogers. And this is Peter Dredge climbing into the front of Techni Lamborghini. The very latest design of Cougar hull and a massive contrast to Mr. Rogers. The start boat now calling all these teams out to the muster area where they will prepare for the start of the race. It's incredibly hot here in Malta. Very difficult for these drivers in thick racing suits and then their life jackets on top. And they no doubt will be very glad to get out on the open sea at high speed. Water being passed on board there. These drivers and their teams can lose a tremendous amount of body fluid during the course of the race, especially in these oppressively hot conditions. Boats beginning to start up their engines. Over 50,000 horsepower will leap into life as the Marshal's boat leads these Class 1 catamarans and the one single monohull over the start line for this first ever Maltese Grand Prix. Monica Rampazzotti getting on board there, and Ugland will definitely be at a disadvantage here in Malta. Calm waters are predicted for the race, not good for the monohull, very good for number 9, Ottaviani, who so far has not really succeeded in the top end of the point scoring. Johnny Lambs with those French Baudouin engines, the only Baudouin engines running in the championship, and the only lady competitor inside that boat. Aloigi there on Cardinal, teammate to Enrico Di Marco, who was very, very successful the year before last. In the Couve hull, Jack Daniels. Dall'Olio there in Team Fasadaiwa, the boat's beginning to build up speed now. You can see the big jets of water, the plumes sticking out of the back of the boats as the propellers start to bite with the power that's applied by the throttle men. The green flag indicates it's go, and all the boats now cruising across in front of the start boat, which they're allowed to do as they build up speed. A fantastic sight. Paul Picot down below us, slow off the start, which you can expect from a diesel-powered boat. The performance coming later. That's Molinari in the distance, Dalla Carbonara in front of us, the yellow and red boat of Capoferri's son, Massimo Capoferri, past lunch, surprisingly speedy at the start, competitive almost alongside Achille Motors. But it's Carlo Bodega in Renato Molinari's Molinari hull in first place, just ahead of Dalla Carbonara. In third place is Finscrew. Fourth is Achille. Then, almost side by side, Rainbow Bears and Paul Picot. Then comes Carr in seventh place, just ahead of Massimo Capoferri in past lunch. In ninth place is Cardinal. And then in 10th place, SDA. 7 out of the first 10 boats are petrol-powered, and now Dalla Carbonari has moved up into first place just ahead of the Molinari hull driven by Carlo Bodega. The distinctive tail fin there, the only boat of its type running a tail fin, and the only boat that's built on the traditional wooden hull design. All of the rest of these boats being built out of either the basic and standard aluminium construction or the newer carbon fiber and Kevlar techniques as used by Dalla Carbonara, the boat leading at the moment, but a boat that's under tremendous pressure from Finscrew. Achille now moving up into third place, incredible acceleration passing Bodega. Rainbow Bears, Steve Curtis chasing up now, and Finscrew in second place under tremendous pressure from Achille Motors. You can see the red Achille hull there, and that's Dalla Carbonara has dropped out, so Finscrew has taken the lead. Domenico Achille in second place, but only just because behind is Steve Curtis challenging heavily for second place. But this boat, Finscrew, in first place at the moment. Paul Picot, the green and white boat, has taken a wide and shorter line to that turn. Now they turn right. Picot having to stay wide because the faster petrol-driven boats are coming up on the inside. Achille there, chased by Steve Curtis in third place. In fact, Curtis side by side with Paul Picot, but over 100 meters separating them. There's Achille in the middle, but down below us, Walter Ragazzi and JP Matala firmly in the lead at the moment as they cross the wake of some pleasure craft who have rapidly got out of the way here. High-speed racing here in Malta for round 4 of the UIM Class 1 World Series in 1992. 3 boats parallel with each other, and Dalla Carbonara has picked up speed again, enough speed to start challenging Steve Curtis. Both of these boats Lamborghini powered, but very, very different in construction. Leonardo Poli in the front of number 201. Here's Achille right down below us. Achille in one of the shortest boats in this championship, and certainly in this event, conditions perfectly suited for them, because at 11.5 meters in length, this boat has minimal friction on the surface of the water, and they're rumored to be over 200 kilos lighter, a tremendous advantage, especially over a boat like Dalla Carbonara, which at 15.11 meters in length is almost 4 meters longer than Achille motors. SDA at 14.87 is a similar length boat to Dalla Carbonara, and the calm waters here suiting the short boats like Curtis at 12 meters in length, and of course Achille that we've been talking about. Finscrew with Lightning engines and Mercruiser drives is actually better suited to slightly rougher conditions to this, but is a tremendously aerodynamic boat. The Baudouin-powered Johnny Lambs is highly competitive here today, as is Fresh and Clean, driven by Angelo Spelter. But the defense of his World Championship title and last year's European Championship title is very much in question now, as these shorter, faster boats begin to outpace him in the much larger Coup Fresh and Clean. Domenico Achille, who has been holding the lead in these lovely flat, calm conditions, is now very much under pressure. This is the challenge for the lead. Walter Ragazzi asking for all the power possible from the engines, trimming the boat out almost too high there as the nose lifts itself in the air, but he has succeeded in passing Achille. A superb performance, magnificent racing here today. Steve Curtis challenged now by Fresh and Clean. SDA making up ground. A similar length boat, of course, SDA to Fresh and Clean, making up ground on Fresh and Clean, but Walter Ragazzi and JP Mattala have the lead in first place from Achille Motors in second, and Fresh and Clean that's charged up in third place, but running wide with SDA in fifth. Curtis has been able to turn tight at that mark. Number one, Finscrew just gone through there. This is Achille. You can see the distances between them after the first lap. Number three, Curtis, yes, made it through, ahead of Fresh and Clean with Angelo Spelter in fourth place. The spectators on every kind of floating apparatus available around here to get as close as possible to the action. There is Spelter. This is fourth place man, SDA doing very well today, Eduardo Poli, the boat running well. Fifth, Johnny Lambs, and in sixth place, Ferrari Shipyards. Water conditions calm, the competitors able to achieve high speeds, and in fact in qualifying, Paul Picot managed to set one of the highest racing speeds ever seen on a European Championship event. We're now here for a World Series event, and this is Koji Mi. In 11th place at the moment, just behind Carr in Techni Lamborghini, and this is a diesel-powered boat. You can see the helicopters hovering over the top. Extremely difficult conditions both on the water and in the air, as the pilots of the helicopters have to find their way safely from one place to another. And this is the small Sprint Cougar hull Ferrari Shipyards coming up alongside Fresh and Clean, a very, very much bigger boat built for heavier seas and currently in fourth place. So Ferrari doing very well here in conditions ideally suited to them. As the boats head back north, this is Bindi Fantasia, who have managed to pass BB Italia just over there on the left. That's the skater hull of Marco Capaferri, powered by Mercruiser engines, the only boat of its type powered this way running in the championship. A similar design of hull to that is leading this race at the moment, and that's the boat of JP Mattala and Walter Ragazzi, Finscrew. The engines appearing to make all the difference at the moment, but certainly Capaferri has begun to find performance that he was sadly lacking earlier in the year. Trimming there a little high, but running over the trails of the water in front. Very difficult water conditions, and a time for the throttle man to be extremely cautious in the way he has the boat trimmed. But now you can see the beautiful aerodynamics of this American-built skater hull. Two boats behind, Giulio Boffi in Fratelli Rossetti Belmont. He's got Carr in Techni Lamborghini separating him at the moment from BB Italia. run by Massimo Capoferri. There's Capoferri. A close side-by-side battle going on between those two boats, and SDA, at the moment in 4th place, certainly must be having the best run of any championship event that they've entered so far in the last 3 years. This, in fact, is the boat that has been brought out of retirement, the 1991 boat, not coming up to spec, not coming up to performance, and they are looking for performance here today in Malta and finding it at the 4th position. The fight for 11th and 12th right in front of us now. Bindi, number 105, side by side with Marco Capoferri. A fantastic battle there. Their average speed, 91.59 miles an hour. They're just 5 miles an hour slower than the leaders. Renato Molinari, not here today. Carlo Bodega running EARP, number 15, with that distinctive red tail fin. But we hear there's a new carbon fibre boat due from Molinari's race workshops as they come back into the harbour once more. Finscrew managing to hold off the attentions of Domenico Achilli, and surprisingly, because it's a deep-hulled catamaran, much better suited to rough waters, whereas this is a much shallower catamaran tunnel. 3rd place, Steve Curtis, not far behind Achilli. And in 4th place, SDA, number 101, definitely having an excellent run here today. Just behind Cardinal is Ugland in Fiat Uno. This beautiful monohull, the wings designed by Pininfarina. The hull by Fabio Buzzi. It has Sea-Tech diesel engines inside and a magnificent looking boat. Those 2 capsules containing the crew. But not good conditions for the monohull here, and the wings coming into action just around 90 miles per hour, so they have to build up a lot of speed before the wings give them the lift they require to give stability to the hull in flat, calm conditions. The car there running at an average of 6 miles an hour slower than the leaders at just over 90 miles per hour. Giulio Boffi just behind car in Fratelli Rossetti, the diesel-powered boat. Boffi loyal to diesel power for some years now, but Domenico Achilli pushes on. Towards Valletta Grand Harbour, this is the final run towards the finish line. His average speed has increased by almost 6 miles per hour as the race has worn on, completing the race at 98.4 miles per hour. A fantastic win for Domenico Achilli, who managed to pull past Finscrew in the closing lap of the race, taking advantage of the smooth, calm conditions and the additional power that he had on the day over this boat. Number 8, Finscrew, driven by JP Mattila, throttled by Walter Ragazzi, and filmed at the moment very closely by that helicopter hovering over the top, from where we've been able to give you these spectacular pictures today. Domenico Achilli waving out of the cockpit there. Alberto Brombin, a very happy man indeed. Look at them there. This is a very special celebration for any racing driver who takes a first win at a newly established Grand Prix.
First ever Maltese Grand Prix and you're the winner. You must feel fantastic.
Thank you. The problem for this morning was the choice of the propeller. And for me was very important. I have to say thanks to Di Biase, because insisting in putting the propeller for medium C, it was everything fantastic. Thanks to Lamborghini, because these engines are wonderful, and it's very easy to win with these engines.
What was the race like? An easy or hard?
Yes, I did the first 2-3 laps just behind Walter Ragazzi, and after the attack, I attacked just 2 laps to finish, and I succeeded in doing very well. I'm very, very happy.
So Domenico Achilli, with congratulations there from Walter Ragazzi. Such a close run between those two. These are the points from the race. Achilli Motors with 30, Finscrew 18, Rainbow Bears with 12, Saratoga 9, Bindi with 6, Kojim with 5, and Techni Lamborghini with Richard Carr coming in at the bottom there. And this is how things look in the World Championship. Just 6 points between first and second place. Achilli within striking distance of the championship if he can maintain at least one more win. Well, after the presentation, the drivers still talking to each other. It's been a very special day, and a very special day not only for Domenico Achilli but Walter Ragazzi.
Walter, yes. What do you think about Domenico just pipping you at the post? You nearly won again. He just beat you on the last lap.
you know, the thing is this one, the condition get better and better every lap and better. This means that our friend Achille, he has a much faster boat than us. I'm very happy for him, I tell you the truth, and I'm very happy for us that we finish second. We make some points on Steve Curtis. I think we have 6 points difference now, but you know, Steve is very good, and you know, he never give up, you know.
A true compliment from one driver to another as Steve Curtis leads forward to prepare the craning points on the boat. His teammate Leonardo Poli.
Yes, very good result, especially if we think that the props were absolutely no good today. Unfortunately, we make a mistake on the props. We had no speed, no acceleration, so I would say that the third place is excellent today.
Well, Polly happy with the performance of the boat. Curtis describing here to his father, Clive Curtis, the man who's responsible for building the Cougar hull.
Bad choice of propeller, I hear.
Yeah, we kind of really messed up. These props we've only really tested on the lake, and they were great on the lake, and they weren't really our top speed propellers. They were good, you know, midway propellers, but we got them out in the ocean today, and it was like putting a couple of F1 tyres on the back of the thing. I mean, it was all over the place. It didn't accelerate well, didn't top end out well. I mean, it was just bad news, but we got the points, you know, we're still in the lead, and that's the main thing.
So, a spectacular victory for Achille and a marvellous day's racing here in Malta.